Welcome, everybody, to Election 2023. I'm Joe Martucci here at our Press of Atlantic City newsroom. Joined with me is our editor, Nick Huba. Nick, we have many races here all across the area. We're getting results in. It's the peak of getting all the numbers and the votes in. How are we feeling so far tonight, Nick?
We're feeling good about everything. It's basically state legislative is the highest kind of race on the ticket, all levels. Usually it's you're looking at 22-25% voter turnout. Not a ton of interest in a lot of races, but we'll start at kind of the top at in Cape May with the LD1 race. Mike Test has been a monster in that district for the last couple of years, and it continues this year. Looks like he's on his way to victory there, and also his running mates Eric Simon and Antoine McClellan also appear to be going to victory there. So. Okay,
and it looks like they're all the incumbents.
Yes.
So they look to continue what they've had so far over the past couple of years.
It's a really red area, Cape May County, as we know. Jeff Andrews has success there as a Republican, so you're seeing that on the state level as well.
Got it. Okay. And that's all we have for the Legislative District 1. We'll move on to some of the local races here in Cape May County. You see it on your screen now. So we have Sheriff, which is running unopposed.
Yeah, Robert Nolan run opposed. There's a couple of races like this in Cape May County where Democrats did not put candidates out in high-profile county races against the Republicans. You saw it in the Sheriff. It's just something I talked to a couple of people about that issue in different counties. Sometimes you can't get the people. Sometimes people just don't want to run in those kind of races. So there was not a Democrat in that one. Also, Marie Hayes is returning to as being elected as the surrogate. She's also a Republican. And in the Board of Commissioners races, Will Morey and Melanie Collette are being elected in Cape May in the Board of Commissioners. Collette, I believe, according to Bill Barlow, is the first black woman to serve on that board, which is a historic moment for them.
Okay, so I'm looking at this right now. I see Will Morey is the incumbent, right? But you're saying Melanie Collette is also going to be added.
Yep.
So is this something where there's how many seats were at play here?
There were 2 seats at play.
Okay.
And 3 candidates. Two Republicans and a Democratic candidate there.
Okay.
So.
Got it. Okay. And then we have an unexpired term for commissioner. Only one person really running here. I'm assuming that's a win.
Yes. Robert Barr, the former Ocean City mayor, councilman, was the only person that ran there, and that's an unexpired term. So.
Got it. And could you tell us what the difference between a commissioner and a surrogate is?
You're going to put me on the spot. Commissioner is basically like the old Board of Chosen Freeholders.
Okay.
They changed the name a couple years ago for that. Surrogate actually deals with wills and things like that. So I've gone through that myself.
Okay.
In Ocean County.
We'll take it on now to Legislative District 2 here. That encapsulates most of Atlantic County, Nick. Can
Correct.
you give us the area on that?
It's basically greater Atlantic County, as we call it. There are little parcels of Atlantic County that go in District 1 and a couple other districts. But when you talk about District 2, it is primarily Atlantic County. Also, that is for years has been a huge battleground regarding Democrats and Republicans have always for years dumped a ton of money into this. You go back to when George Norcross was putting a lot of money into this race. This was a real race that he targeted over the years. Been some of the more expensive races in the state's history.
Yeah, it's something that's kind of flip-flop back and forth here. We have Vince Palestina, the incumbent, running against Karen Fitzpatrick. And then the assembly, we have Lisa Bender and Alfonso Hall, both Democrats, running against the incumbents Don Guardian and Claire Swift. Don Guardian, former Atlantic City mayor, then went up to Toms River, I believe, as city manager, if I'm correct. And then now back down here with the assembly. Do we have numbers on those so far?
We don't have a lot. The Atlantic County Clerk's Office website has not updated in a while, but as of the early totals, Palestina leads against Karen Fitzpatrick. And the 2 incumbents, Claire Swift and Don Guardian, also lead in that race. But it's really too early to call. That's always, a very competitive race as we get through.
Right. And Karen Fitzpatrick, somebody we know well in Atlantic County, has been involved in Atlantic County politics for a while.
She's on the Board of Commissioners in the county level. She's run a couple times in some of these high-profile races. So, she does have name recognition, but we're still waiting for a lot of those numbers to come in.
Okay. Got it. Let's go to Wildwood. We'll take you back down south, down to... depending on what exit you go to, exit 4, exit 6 on the Parkway here.
Well, this is one of the more interesting races around the state. You had 14 people running for 3 spots, and there's a lot of interesting kind of details about this race. There's 14 candidates. Also, 4 of them have faced some kind of indictment over the years. So it's one of those kind of quintessential New Jersey kind of political stories. Tonight, Krista Fitzsimmons came out on top. She had 474 votes. She'll be joined on the board by Ernie Triano and Steve Maluski. Now, Maluski and Triano both have unresolved issues with the state regarding an indictment. I think, if I remember correctly, it was regarding healthcare benefits and things like that. So, that's one of those more interesting races. And what kind of happens with them? Pete Byron was was mayor during the last term. He resigned. He was kind of connected in a lot of this. So he was not reelected. But so you're going to see. It's interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months with that. Sorry, news comes in whenever. So.
Right. Okay, so we'll go from Wildwood here, and we'll take it over to Atlantic County right now. And we have county executive, we have sheriff, commissioner at large, and the commissioner in the 3rd district as well. And I believe we're going to go to Michelle Post. She's one of our reporters. She was in Atlantic County. We got her on the line right now. Hello, Michelle.
Hey there.
So you were covering the Atlantic City race. I guess kind of explain what's going on with that and what it kind of means for the future of Mayor Monty Small's administration.
Yeah, well, it looks like most incumbents are getting reelected handily. There's one, the 5th ward, Mohammed Anjamzia is the incumbent, and he's only slightly ahead right now. And if he does not pull out a victory, and if it goes to his Republican opponent, Maria Latha, then Mayor Marty Small will again have a minority of supporters on city council, and his life will continue to be very complicated as it has been for the past year or so, dealing with a majority on council who are not necessarily going to go along with what he wants to do. So we're probably not going to know for a few days who wins that race because it's that tight in the 5th ward. And we've got another week where vote-by-mail ballots can come in. Now, the 5th is also the ward where there's been some allegations of vote-by-mail tampering that are in court right now. So that's also up in the air. It may be possible if Zia does not win, he could contest the election based on alleged vote-by-mail tampering. So the whole thing is a big mess right now, and I guess it's going to take a few days to know how it's going to fall out.
I guess when you talk about complicate the mayor's agenda, what do you mean? What is kind of the relationship and what has happened? What's kind of history behind that?
Yeah. Well, people that used to be his allies pretty suddenly turned on him, particularly at-large council members Bruce Weeks and George Tibbet. Particularly, Tibbet was an ally of his for years and years, and they had a falling out. It's unclear exactly about what. Different people have different stories about it, but so then all of a sudden, what the mayor wants to do, the council really can put a stop to, and most embarrassingly, the council actually voted down the mayor's budget this past year by this 5-4 margin, really embarrassing the mayor greatly because it was a budget that lowered the tax rate, and yet they voted against it just because they wanted to, stick a thumb in Mayor Small's eye. And they eventually came back and voted again and did pass it, but it was a big embarrassment for him for several weeks. So that kind of thing, if he doesn't have a majority on council, council can continue to just give him difficulty, not pass things he wants passed, embarrass him in various ways, that kind of thing.
So it's quintessential politics in New Jersey in a way, right?
Yeah, really ugly, mean personal politics when it's Atlantic City, because it's kind of a small town. It's kind of a weird mix of small town and big city, but everybody knows everybody. Everybody has very personal feelings, and there's a lot of personal vendettas, and it can get really ugly.
Anything else we should know about the Atlantic City races? Jesse Kurtz was returned to the council. It looks like he's the lone Republican.
Yeah.
Unless
big margin. He has, I think, maybe the biggest margin, at least so far, numbers aren't final, but he had a huge margin. So did Sporty Randolph in the first, and Kaleem Shabazz in the third. So when they like somebody over there, they really like them.
Have you heard from the mayor yet and kind of his thoughts on what's going on over there?
Well, I think, I saw him at the headquarters where they were getting some of the numbers in, and he seemed very nervous. It means a lot to him to have a supportive council, and I think until that power struggle is over, he's going to be very nervous.
Well, Michelle, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle.
You. Hey, good night.
All right, well, that was great. We had Michelle calling in here. She was in Atlantic City for most of our evening. Any other takeaways from Atlantic City itself?
Not really. It's typical Atlantic City politics, It's been like this for a while. Also, never underestimate it is under a state takeover. That the state does have a huge role in it. So kind of whatever happens, Big Brother is always watching in a way. So
Got it. All right, and we're going to go to Atlantic County. We talked about it a little bit here, but we have county executive, sheriff, the commissioners at large, commissioner for the 3rd district. Do we have any updates on those numbers right now?
Since we coming on air, it's kind of the status quo. We had the same issue with LD2. Dennis Levinson looks like he's in pretty much command for a county executive, a job he's done forever. The sheriff's race has been very interesting all campaign season. That's the incumbent Eric Scheffler, the Democrat, against Joe O'Donoghue. Very different ways of looking at the sheriff's department. They're still tight too. The commissioner's race is still too close to call at this point. So, everyone will just have to stay tuned to pressivac.com as we continue to update throughout the night.
Yes, absolutely. So we are going to wrap it up here for this edition of Election 2023. We appreciate everybody who tuned into this live stream tonight. And next year is going to be a big year.
Yes, we'll do bigger and better, I guess.
Bigger and better here. And if you want to subscribe to what we have here, you can go to pressivac.com/subscribe. We also have free newsletters you can sign up for as well at pressivac.com/newsletter. So for editor Nicholas Huba, I'm Joe Martucci. Happy election night, and we'll talk to you soon.